Hello everyone and welcome to Sinful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the grey. Today's video, let's chat grand strategies in Warhammer Age of Sigmar. Now, if you didn't catch our first video talking about battle textures and how we're looking at making our own battle pack for Warhammer Age of Sigmar to sort of change up things and how they work in the game, go back and have a check. We'll leave a link in the top of the video. Go check that video out. Have a look at how we looked at battle tactics and what we try to do with them. And today we're going to look at a couple of changes to grand strategies, what they are, what they do, what we would like them to do, how we would like them to change, and look at how we've changed them in Warhammer Age of Sigmar. We're going to try and play a couple of games on the channel using this and get people in our local community to have a look and have a try of these grand strategies and these battle tactics, and we encourage you at home to have a look and a try of these as well, because it'd be really interesting to sort of see how this all sort of works. And so, do the changes, I guess, do what we want it to do to the game? Do they slightly do what we want them to do? Do they not at all? And how everything sort of works. We're trying to have a look at the game as a whole and try and see if we can make it a more interactive experience based on some of the things we're personally feeling within the game. If you watch videos on the channel, you know how we're sort of feeling. With that said, let's get cracking on. We'll talk about what grand strategies are, what we hope to do and change them to, and how we have changed them later in the video. And so, what are grand strategies and what do they do? First of all, grand strategies are a tire-breaking objective that is scored only at the end of the game. Generally, in Warhammer Age of Sigmar, they are worth 3 victory points in most scenarios and are used as a second tiebreaker in the case where victory points or victory conditions are tied. This means generally you will score a game based on victory points to score a major win. You will then get a minor win based on who has the most battle tactics if you are tied on victory points. If you are again tied on battle tactics, whoever completes their grand strategy over the other one would get a minor victory, and if both players have completed that, then you would get a draw. Now, draws can happen in Warhammer Age of Sigmar. It isn't all too uncommon, but not very common. You know, it's not uncommon, definitely not common. Somewhere in the middle of the two. I've seen quite a few draws over events in the time. Normally, most events will have 1 or 2 draws, and really, you want to try and stamp out draws almost entirely of the game. They really do mess with the Swiss pairing a lot. I think I would much prefer if we try to stamp out draws entirely or as far as possible as we possibly can. But in general, there are certainly more of them that are much easier to complete than others. And this mostly comes down to having super resilient units on the table or a multitude of units on the table. At the moment, the most common one would definitely be prize sorcery, where a lot of powerful characters are wizards. A lot of powerful characters have access to the magic wand, the artifact, or I can't even remember the proper name of it. The artifact that makes you a wizard, where you can get this on, you know, some of your more powerful pieces, things like Maw Crushers, Star Drakes, and all of those sort of things can become wizards thanks to this generic artifact available to the armies. With that said, this does mean that those ones generally are more easily to complete than the others, which means there's definitely an imbalance in which grand strategies are better at the current point in time in Warhammer Age of Sigmar. And so, what would you like to change? So, first of all, I'd like to change them from awarding a flat 3 points to a scaling number of points between 1 and 3 based on how well you complete them. This is something that 40k does, and I really do like this part of 40k. Now, 40k has its own problems, without a doubt. However, I do like the idea that a lot of their objectives scale in points, and some objectives are easier to complete than others, and will guarantee you certain points, but maybe only a few of them, while others are harder to complete, but will generally give you more points for doing so. And so, with that said, I think the scaling system can work, but it doesn't need to be on every grand strategy, and that's what I want to sort of have a look at. Whether some should be a flat 3 if you do this much harder thing, and some should be 1 to 3, and maybe even some are 2, a flat 2 to give you the guarantee. Now, you also want to move them away from rewarding singular pieces surviving on the tabletop, instead force you to have to keep multiple pieces alive or complete multiple objectives to do them. You want to have multiple things to do. You don't want to just have something like prize sorcery. You simply have this one unkillable wizard, something like Manfred von Carsten, who's just going to jump out of combat at every chance. He survives 9 times out of 10, he will just get you a grand strategy. That's something you want to avoid. You want to have where, well, now the Vampire Lord, the Zombie Dragon, and the Manfred all have to survive in order for you to get 3 points with prize sorcery. That's the sort of change we want to have a look at. So we're going to go through. I've not actually changed too much of the grand strategies, what they are, but changing how most of them work. Alrighty, and so here are our changed grand strategies. Now, first of all, we've changed all of them up slightly in how they work. Sometimes it's the amount of victory points they offer or how they offer victory points. Sometimes it's what exactly they allow to score it. So the first one, we've got Sever the Head. You complete this grand strategy at the end of the game by killing one or more of your opponent's heroes in the combat phase. For each character killed in the combat phase, you gain 1 victory point to a maximum of 3. So the big thing we remove from this is killing the characters with ranged units. If you pick this grand strategy, your ranged units can't do it, magic can't do it, you must kill them in the combat phase. This means you're generally going to have to try and go and get your characters into combat, or get your units into combat with characters to kill them. Means your opponent's going to be trying to protect them. Your opponent's also going to have to try and move them backwards. There are battle tactics we put in from yesterday where your opponent wants to try and put smaller characters forward. I think this is a good change for it. For me, I like the change to it. Whether or not we maybe need to cap it on what characters can provide this, or what characters can kill other characters, or how you can kill other characters, we'll have a look. Hold the line, complete this battle tactic at the end of the game by having one or more friendly battle line units still alive and wholly within your territory at the end of the game. Now, you score 1 point for each battle line unit you have wholly within your territory that's alive at the end of the game, to a maximum of 3 once again. The big change to this is wholly within your territory. Normally, hold the line is battle line units on the table, but I like the idea of hold the line actually meaning holding your line of troops being in your territory. So holding your territory. This means you're either going to have to run troops back, either have to keep troops back in general and play more defensive minded in the game. It's an interesting combination of the two, because I do feel this is one of the, probably two of them that is definitely much more easily completed with a lot of armies. Next, we have Vendetta. You complete this grand strategy if your general kills your opponent's general in the combat phase by the end of the game. If you do this, you receive a flat 2 victory points. For any of these that are sort of one and done things, we try to make them 2. I think that's the better way to do it. Generally, this one would be pretty easy to do, but there's definitely ways this could be really hard to do as well. This is an interesting one. I'm not sure whether it should be 2 or 3 for the Vendetta. Based on what it is, maybe this makes you pick certain units as your general, maybe it doesn't. I'm interested to see how this one goes. We then go to Dominating Presence, where you complete this grand strategy if one or more of your units are wholly within 6 inches of your opponent's board edge. For each unit within range, you gain 1 victory point to a maximum of 3. Now, Dominating Presence was just having more units on the table at the end of the game than your opponent. Now, that's definitely a grand strategy you get if you're already winning more. Having to have them near your opponent's board edge definitely means you're going to have to move them, and you may have to actually go out of combat and allow your opponent's units to survive if you go first in the last turn of the game and then actually survive on your opponent's board edge. So it's an interesting change to it, I think. Beastmaster, pretty much the same as all the others, where you would only score 1 to 3 victory points for each monster alive. However, we've made it so that it's monsters 11 wounds or more still alive. Now, there's a certain change to this, I think, that could be made, where a monster with 11 wounds still left or alive is maybe how you do it. So you have to have healthy monsters on the table to get Beastmaster. But for me, this change rules out taking, spammable, smaller monsters. I'm thinking armies that can be all monsters, so definitely looking at Stormdrake Guard. Or even things like Dragon Ogre Shaggoths that are heroes that can be held back by your opponent. Can be taken in larger numbers that are cheaper. While Beasts of Chaos definitely don't need a nerf, I think it definitely works in the case of herding Stormdrake Guard. Pride Sorcery then is for wizards 10 wounds and under, the same sort of scoring, 1 to 3. This, for me, is a massive change, because generally Pride Sorcery you pick when you take something like Archaon, Manfred, Nagash, any of those super powerful casters, you take Pride Sorcery and you pretty much guarantee you're going to get it. So I think lowering it to 10 wounds or less definitely takes them out of the equation and really makes you think about taking it. Pillars of Belief, exactly the same, but for priests. And then Predator's Domain is completing it, controlling more terrain at the end of the game, but worth only a flat 2 rather than 1 to 3. Generally because, controlling the board. Once again, I'm not sure, should that be 2 or should that be 3? That's our thought on changes for grand strategies. I'd love to hear everyone else's thoughts and ideas on these changes to grand strategies. Let us know down in the comments below, and definitely go play some games with these changes and let us know how your games are affected by these changes. We'll be putting up a full battle pack in the coming days with this. We'd really love to see how it all goes. Let us know what you think. Be interesting to see if this can cause some changes to Warhammer Age of Sigmar. I'd be interested. Well, that's the end of the video. Thank you all for watching. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And while you're at it, drop us a comment down below and let us know what you enjoyed about the video. If you'd like to come chat more with me and other members of our fine little community here at Cinderful Gaming, you can do so by joining our Discord server, which is linked down in the video's description. Lastly, if you'd like to help support the channel and get your name up on the screen like all these fantastic people do, you can do so by supporting us either on Patreon or YouTube members. As a special thanks to all our Patreon and YouTube members, we'd love to give them a shout out. So a shout out to our Patreons: Christian Weir, James Soren, Greenskins Gaming, AJC, Kenny Lowell, Outer and Shot First, Andrew Bowen, Nathan Fee, The Rising Ape, Cure Dynamic, Agu, Anthony B, Anton Nilsson, JJ Austrian, Average Wargamer, Domir, Mark Harvey, James Cater, and Dynet226. And a shout out to our YouTube members: Green Roots Gaming, Kenton Young, Chris Wallace, Ronya, Vinny, Lock Lorick, The Johnny84, David Ellsworth, Revenar, Wolfric Nick, Broken Shelf, Adriana Edwards, and Sean Scott. A special thanks as well to Lady Witchfox Art, who does all the amazing artwork for our channel, and to Xmorphic, who does all the amazing background work for our channel's Discord server as well. Thank you all for watching. Once again, everyone, stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the grey. Ciao for now.